I'll just quickly introduce you. Brandon Jackson
Cool.
runs Charlotte operation. Been with us for 12, 15. How many years you been with us, Brandon?
Yep. Yeah, about that time.
Okay.
And yeah.
The pre-listing pack. How many?
12 years.
Oh, so
12 years.
13 years.
12, 13 years. Yeah.
You're going to talk about the pre-listing packet today?
Pre-listing pack. Is that my intro?
That's your intro.
Okay. I'm going to do a little screen share here. Here we go. All right. So the pre-listing pack is my secret weapon. So when I started at Easy Street Realty at the time, I really focused on the buyer side of the transaction, taking leads, trying to go sell new construction only. And that was great. That suited me fine. If I got a listing, it was someone that that I knew really well or just kind of landed in my lap. And when I took the listing, or if I went on the presentation, I had no earthly idea how to win it. I was, just trying to win it with my personality, or, I'd consider cutting my commission as a way to stand out because, I just didn't know. I didn't know what to do. So that started a decision to learn and to really hone my skills in listings. And so I joined up a bunch of different coaching programs. I did some online stuff. I still do some one-on-one stuff, which is the basis for what I'm going to present today. But I will say that by knowing this, by getting this in place, this one thing in place, it really catapulted my overall business. And I'm really not to make it any smaller or larger than it is. That truly is the fact. It's what this gave me is like a foundation of how do I differ from any other agent that's in the business. If I'm competing, what's my unique selling proposition? And so and then also learning how to educate the client about, so they can understand it, how I differ. So this pre-listing packet is something that hopefully you gain information and gives you confidence on why and how you can stand out, and then taking that information and then winning listings. Because at the end of the day, that's hopefully why we're all here, is to get more business and to do a better job for our clients. So why do we have a pre-listing packet? Why have one? Like I said earlier, it gives you the answers the question, why should I hire you? Which I know, if I had started before all this, I would have gotten that question. I would have been like, I'm a hard worker, I'm honest, stuff like that. But I mean, at the end of the day, how do you convince someone that you're a hard worker if they've never worked with you, or that you're honest? And then most everyone else is doing something similar. So what makes you different from any other agent? We'll go into that, but that's what this is all about. It sets you apart as a professional. When I hand over my pre-listing packet and people open it up, they're like, wow. So right off the bat, before I've even gotten to anything else, they look at it and they can see that I'm a professional, that I take my job seriously. So, and by doing that, it differentiates me from the competitions. And what I'm going to talk to you today is not only the pre-listing packet, but strategies about how to use it. But I try to get my pre-listing packet delivered to the listing prior to our appointment. So often I'll say, hey, look, I'm going to drop this off. I'll leave it in your mailbox, or I'll leave it by your front door. If you could, please take a look at it before I get there, because it's going to answer a lot of the questions that you're going to have, so that once we're there and we're talking, we can focus on you and your house and not so much about me. So if you can get the questions answered before you're there, it really is going to help you, again, kind of win that listing. And then finally, the pre-listing packet is my basis, it's like an agenda that I follow when I'm presenting, which is so basically my listing presentation. And so here's a little glimpse. I'm going to go over each individual one, what it looks like. So I have the Highgarden folder. Let me see if I have one. I have this folder. Oh, you can't see it, darn it, because I'm sharing my screen. I have a black Highgarden folder with the H on the front. And the left side, as you see, it's a waterfall appearance. Although it's not this diagonal look, it's stacked. So all you'll see is the top little black part of each page. All right, so that's the left side here, and then you have the right side, and it looks really crisp. And there's two reasons why I do it this way with the waterfall effect, where it's each page is a little shorter than the other. One, it looks really cool, but two, if I've given it to them before I go to the meeting, and then when I get there and I ask them to pull it out, I can see what pages they pulled out because it's hard to figure out where it goes. So I get a baseline for what I believe to be important to them. Okay. All right. So we'll start with page 1. And again, as Brett had mentioned, I did link these on the Highgarden Facebook page. So if you want to have them for yourself and just print them out and kind of make notes and changes, you can have that there. But this way you'll just see, I'll hit each one and give you highlights. So the resume, and this just, whatever you can think of that would make you sound cool. It's like, you're going on a dating site, like what's going to make you be appealing? And some of those, are in the pre-listing packet, like the easy exit, which is the third from the bottom on the Brandon Jackson broker realtor, flexible fee program, and then truly has a heart and desire to produce the best service possible. And then I give a little personal stuff and then education, right? So that's just basic. But again, if someone is really detail oriented, they're going to get this page and pull it out. Then I have my testimonials. So again, it's like, how does someone know that you're good or that you are trustworthy or that you work hard? It's the words from other people. And so I always feel it's important to give a testimonial. If you are a new agent and you don't have a testimonial, then you can get your broker's testimonials because you're under his license or her license, and you're basically, as part of the firm, those testimonials are company client testimonials. All right, and then I have a little write about me, and then my meet the team. So if you have a buyer's agent, if you have a lender, if you have a handyman, that's different things you can do to build your team. I have contract closing coordinators, the closing girls here in Charlotte, and they do a lot of communication. So I like to kind of put the picture on there and a little bio or a little write-up on them so people know who they're going to talk to. And I also want to open this up. If you see something on a page that you have a question on, you want me to dig deeper into, just I'm not in a place where I can see the hand raises. Maybe Steve or Jeff or someone else can, but just speak up. Sound good? All right. So there are 3 or 4 primary pages in my pre-listing packet that I talk on every single appointment. A lot of those I'll never discuss. The majority of the pages I will not discuss unless they have pulled it out or they have a specific, I kind of get a feel like they're a certain personality style that I'll need to discuss those items. But this is one of them, and it's one of the unique selling propositions. Again, standing out, how am I different? And so it's the easy exit listing. You can call it the 1-day listing. You call it the 1-week listing agreement. There's a bunch of different names. A lot of top producers use it in just different ways. And so whenever I'm presenting a page and I'm selling how I'm different, I always speak to it in a story format, not just, hey, this is the easy exit agreement, this is what it means. So I said, if you hire the average agent, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, they're going to get you to sign a listing agreement, and they're going to put in a 6-month agreement where you're locked in, 6 months, a year, whatever it may be, where you're locked in on working with that agent no matter what, right? Because it's a contract. But let me ask you, what happens if, they meet you at the very beginning and they sell you on how great they are, and then they disappear? You don't hear from them. They don't do a great job like they said they were going to do. Well, you're stuck, and they're counting on that. A lot of agents, that's what they depend on. It's just roping you in and then hoping that a buyer's agent will bring the buyer, and they're just not going to do any work, right? And they've got you locked into this agreement. Well, I looked at it and I said, how could I be different? And what would I want if I were in your shoes, Mr. and Mrs. Seller? And that's where I came up with this easy exit listing agreement. So what does it mean? It just says that if you at any time ever feel like I'm not doing a good job, like I didn't do what I said I was going to do, then you can fire me. No fee, no termination cost. It really, what it does is it keeps you in control. All right. And so, I mean, this one thing alone has won me so many listings, because it, you know, it gives them that, like, especially if you're competing and they're trying to have a hard time deciding between two agents. Well, then, you know, if you have this, you can say, look, if you're just not sure, why don't you try me out? If you feel like, you know, maybe I just don't know, and it's a toss up, well, give me a shot. You know, if you want to try me for 7 days with this easy exit agreement, you can do it for 7 days. All right. So the reality is, guys, that let's just say you had a normal listing agreement, you put it in there for 6 months, and some seller just hated you, right? It was just not going well. Well, guess what's going to happen? They're going to ask to get out of the contract. And what are you going to do? In most cases, I'd say 95%, if not more of the time, if a seller is adamant that they want to terminate a listing, you're going to let them out of the listing anyway. So by saying that I'm this, it's doing what everybody really would do anyways, but it's differentiating me, saying, hey, I'm willing to put myself in the line. So that's one thing that it does. Two, that is huge, really the undervalued side of the easy exit agreement, is that most of the time when you're in a listing, you put in 3 months or 6 months, right? Well, let's say you're going along and the house it's just not moving. You had a 3-month listing agreement and it's just not moving. Nothing's happening. The seller's just not willing to reduce the price to an effective price range. Well, what happens is a forced confrontation between the seller and you, right? Because there's a reason that you have to have a conversation begging them to allow you to continue to work to sell the house, right? Because the listing is going to expire if not. Well, with my easy exit listing agreement, on the listing agreement, I sign them up for a year, all right? And they say, well, a year, that's a long time. I don't know if I'm comfortable for a year. I'm like, look, I just have to put a date in there because it's required. But with my easy exit agreement, you can call this a 7-day listing agreement. If you want to make it 30 days, that's fine. From 30 days from now, you can end the relationship. So like I said, it keeps you in control. The year, whatever it is, I just have to have it in there. And so what happens, I have way less expires than probably most agents would, because I'm not forcing confrontation, right? Because most people don't want to confront, right? They would, even if you're doing not a great job, unless they are forced to fire you, they don't want to fire you. So the easy exit agreement and this really works out in your favor, because it's extending the time where you're going to have a forced confrontation. Any questions on that?
Brandon, question
Yeah,
about
man.
that. How often how often has a seller even brought it back up to you, like a week or two or a month later, like, hey, let's talk about this easy exit?
Not like that. There'd be a reason, you know, like they'd be upset about something, and I got fired, right? And shoot, I mean, if you do enough, you work with enough humans, you're going to get fired. People just aren't going to like you, or circumstances will happen. And so, yeah, definitely. It's come up and I've lost the listing. But even if I had them signed up into a standard agreement, if that had come up, you know, 50-50, that they would have done it anyways. And like I said, most of the time, this is winning me listings. So I'm actually getting more listings than I would have. So the potential of loss, the chance of the loss is well worth the opportunity, the chance with this easy exit agreement.
Hey, Brandon, this is Jean Lancaster.
Hey, Jean.
I'm in Denver. I just want to ask a quick question. Do you put anything in there about, and I know you probably don't, given what you've just said, but about paying for the pictures or marketing material, you know, the money you've put out already on their house? You know, it's not the pre-marketing stuff, it's on their house. Do you ask for any of that back?
I don't. I mean,
okay.
You definitely could. I've seen people do it and I have no problem with it. But again, it kind of goes against like, hey, just take a shot at me. No cost, no risk to you. It keeps you in control. But if you wanted to do like when I take on a listing and if it doesn't sell, I'm out still probably around $500, $600. But when you're doing enough of the business, that's just, you know, it's a price of business in my mind, and I don't mind it. But if you were a little bit more conscious and you wanted to, you could put in, you know, whatever, a $200 termination fee or something like that. Any other questions on the easy exit?
Good answer. Thanks, Brandon.
Yeah, my pleasure. All right, we'll move on then. All right, so second unique selling proposition is the flexible fee agreement. And before to kind of go in this, as it says on there, this one thing has won me one thing has won, right? I mean, tons of listings. I can't tell you how many listings I have won because of the flexible fee agreement. And it does so many different things. So I'm going to explain it to you guys real quick. The flexible fee agreement, it basically states that if a property sells through the MLS and the commission is shared with another agent, 6% commission, all right? If I find the buyer, 5%. If the seller finds the buyer, 4%. And the 1% would be, hey, Brandon, I already found a buyer. We need some help. Will you help us? And yeah, I'll do it for 1%. I'll get you to the closing table. So how do I sell this? I'm sitting at the table again. I said, guys, I want to highlight my flexible fee structure. And most agents, they're going to charge you a commission. And do you know what it is, Mr. and Mr. Seller? I have the page on. They usually say, yeah, 6%. I go, that's right. But let me ask you, what happens if you're at work one day and it comes out that you're looking to sell your house, and someone goes, oh, really? My brother is looking to buy in Charlotte, and you, wow, yeah, well, we're listing here in this neighborhood. That's perfect. That's what he's looking for. And you meet the buyer, you bring the house, and he loves it. What happens in that situation where you found the buyer that's interested in buying your house and you're listed with the average agent Joe? Do you know what you're going to pay in your commission? And they usually go 6%. I'm like, that's right. But you brought the buyer. They didn't bring the buyer. You're still paying them 6%. They're like, yeah. And so I said, well, and the way it works for me, I don't think that's fair. I think that if you did something, there should be something gained by you. So in that situation, I dropped my commission all the way down to 4% because I want it to be a win-win. I want you to be motivated to help me sell this property, right? And then the same thing goes, I do a lot of marketing, and we are able to procure a lot of prospective buyers, even for our listings. And I've sold my own listings before. And so in that situation where I bring an unrepresented buyer to the table, I reduce the commission, so it's 5%. That way it's a win-win for everybody. Now, if you're not comfortable with me representing both parties, I'm totally fine with that. And that has happened before, and I can totally understand where you're coming from. Then I designate an agent, and I have to pay them the 3%, so we would move up to 6%. But I want to give you the option, and hey, if you're comfortable with it, it's only been 3 days in the market, it's a full price offer, it's a no-brainer, then I will drop it down to 5% and represent both parties. So most people love this, and this is great too for someone that's like, well, are you willing to reduce your commission? I say, absolutely. And let me tell you about my flexible fee commission structure, right? Because the flexible commission structure, it's just giving in, right? And it's not gonna, like, every time I've had a seller ask me for a discount, it's not like this is has won every time. Like, I have had to do discounted listings. And will I do one for a motivated seller that's priced well, that I know is going to sell? Absolutely. But this has battled someone that's not really sticking to it, is more just like in their gut, they just wanted to ask. And I say, yeah, absolutely. I have a flexible commission structure. Let me explain it to you. And they go, wow, that's great. And I just move on. And so it's a way to have the commission conversation without actually having to, have that kind of awkward feeling about the commission. Okay, any questions on that? Okay, so someone asked, what would be the fee if another agent from your office was representing the buyer? It doesn't matter. If there's another licensed agent that's going to be expecting a commission, it's 6%. The 5%, if me, Brandon, or you, agent, that's offering this, brings both buyer and seller, you're only paying one commission, and that commission is 5% in that situation. Karen, does that make sense? Okay, got it. Any other questions on this? Crickets? All right, we'll keep moving. All right, communication guarantee. This is great for an expired listing, and anyone that's had a lot of listings and sold many houses. The reason this is so good is because it's the #1 complaint by sellers, is that I signed my listing agreement and then never heard from my agent, right? And so what this does is it presents a way to kind of, again, stand out. And so what I offer is my communication guarantee. And again, it's another unique selling point. Why hire you? Why? You know, how are you different? Well, this is one of the things that makes me different. And it says that I'm guaranteed, you know, that I'm going to send them the showing time when available, right? That I'm going to keep up with them and let them know what's happening with the market. Because Mr. and Mrs. Seller, what I'm going to tell you right now is the truth. And the truth is that the number one complaint by sellers is that they don't hear from their agent after they hire them. And I don't want to put you that in position. And, you know, I'm going to give you this guarantee. And the way you're going to hold me accountable is my easy exit agreement. If I don't follow through with this and do what I said I was going to do, you can fire me. And so the communication is there for you to know that I'm keeping up with you, I'm keeping up with the market, and I'm going to tell you what I'm doing. And for those that are interested in this, through this, I'm part of the Tim and Julie Harris group, and this is their, I don't want to take ownership for this pre-listing packet, this is theirs. They also gave me a 12-week seller communication plan, and I'm happy to send that out. Just send me an email, brandon@highgarden.com, and I'll send that to you. But it kind of gives you what to say, because I know everyone struggles, like, what should I say when I call this seller? Okay. Any questions on the communication guarantee? All right. All right. This is bread and butter right here. I've already given you guys a couple things that I think are like my highlights, but this is definitely a big rubber meets the road. Why should I hire you points, right? The unique selling points that I pointed out earlier, the communication guarantee, flexible fee arrangement, and the easy exit are big, but this is the real thing that I can quantify why they should hire me, because it's going to put more money and less stress in their pocket. So an agent may say, well, I do better than all other agents, but they're not quantifying it. So they can't really see by you just saying that you're better than the average agent what you're actually doing. And what I do here is I have my list to sell ratio along with my fast sale equals less hassle, right? And so the list sale price ratio is, hey, Mr. and Ms. Seller, let's assume that you had your home on the market with an average agent and your house was $100,000. Right now, today's numbers, an average agent lists your house, they're going to get you 97% of your asking price. That means that you're going to walk out with $97,000 if your house is 100. Now your house is 500,000. You do the math, 3% off. That you're just looking at reducing $15,000 off your asking price. 97% is pretty strong. And I wish I could tell you, Mrs. and Ms. Seller, that I am 30 times better than the average agent, but I can't. You know, there's some things that there's only so much I can do to help sell a property. But here's the deal. Because I do work really hard and I have a plan of action that I follow that I'm going to go over later, I am able to do 2% better. That doesn't sound like a lot, but if you think about it, your house is $500,000. 2% of $500,000, that's like me putting an extra $10,000 in your pocket. Would $10,000 be good for you? Would you like an extra 10 grand? Right? And that's just, it's not because, I'm charging you more. The reality is, you could go that direction and hire somebody else, but it could potentially cost you versus hiring me. All right. And does it mean that I'm going to sell your house for 99% of the asking price? No. I mean, it could be more, it could be less, but what it does mean is on average, I'm doing better. I'm putting more in my client's pocket. And that's my goal, is to help you out. All right. And then I talk about separately, the average agent, if you hire them, it's going to take them 52 days to sell your house. All right. So that means just about, 2 months of making your bed, cleaning the house, vacuuming, making sure the dog's taken care of, 2 months. That doesn't sound like a lot, but if you're getting, 3-4 showings a week, that's a lot of cleaning up after yourself and making sure everything's perfect and not really actually living in your house. Well, compared to 52, I'm 14 days, right? 2 weeks, right? So what that does for you is that puts an extra mortgage payment in your pocket. That's less utilities that you're paying. That's quicker to moving on to figuring out what you want to do next. And that's making sure your house is taken care of. You don't have to worry about the dog anymore. You can leave the bed unmade, all of those things, which I know creates so much stress if you're having to do that over a long period of time. So you see, by hiring me, not only am I putting more money in your pocket, but I'm creating less stress for your life. All right. I mean, this right here, like I said, if you sell this, boom, you've won, because they're seeing financially and stress-wise in their life how hiring you is the best answer. Any question on these two? Are people falling asleep, Steve?
No.
Okay, good.
When you show, these numbers are super powerful, and when people say, well, how do you do that? What's your response?
That's a great question. And I'm going to show you. And so I'm not in order, so I won't show you, but I have one of the pages next. We're moving to the right side. That was the left side of my pre-listing packet. Then I have the right. But what I would then go to is my listing plan of action and my internet marketing pages. All right, so I'll hit those up when we get there. But this is who is Highgarden, and I'm sure, I don't know what it is in the market that you are in, but we're not the largest office in the Charlotte area, right? And although I'm getting this question less and less because of the era of Zillow and Trulia, where people are just going online, I do get the question. And so I have this little write-up in who is Highgarden in case someone wants to know. Again, I hardly ever get the question. But if I do, I have this out. But I also say, nowadays, it used to be important what agency you're with, in the sense that, they were going to pay more to be in a newspaper, or they were going to pay more to be in a local magazine. But the reality is, people don't go there anymore to buy houses. They go online, and that's where we really succeed. Our company has been technology focused for a decade and a half now, or almost 2 decades, and we've learned a lot. We were doing internet marketing before Zillow even existed. And so that has helped us to put more buyers' views onto our listings, right? And then you're hiring an agent. That's what's really important. So, but that's like I said, I hardly ever have this conversation, but that's usually how it goes if I get it. All right, the guaranteed home sale program. I've only had this come up twice, and it used to make me really uncomfortable. And if you don't like offering it, then don't worry about it. But here's what it really does. And I really did a lot of research about guaranteed home sales, because I'm sure you've seen some agent sometime over your real estate career has had a billboard that said, if I can't sell your house, I'll buy it. And I would buy it too if I followed their guidelines. The guidelines usually are, if you look down here at the bottom, is you have to price it to their price, right? And 2, after the first 30 days, you have to have a 5% price reduction. And then in the second 30 days, you have to have another 5% price reduction. And then after the 90 days is up, if it still hasn't sold at those prices, then they will buy it for somewhere between 70-80% of appraised value. And that includes plus the commission. So if any of you are really worried about this, and you have someone that wants to take you up on it, and they're willing to sell for 70% of the appraised value in today's market, call me. I'm sure I could find the cash, right? But this is really meant to battle if someone is considering, an iBuyer, right? So, hey, we have the iBuyer program as well. That if you are competing, you really want to know what stands out. At the end of the day, guys, the iBuyer programs, if you do all the math and the commissions and the fees, it really, in most cases, doesn't make sense. And right now, I don't even know it. Steve, is there anybody even doing iBuyers anymore, or Chris? You guys heard it? I thought they were stopped.
Well, Zillow, Open Door, OfferPad, they
are
suspended, but they're slowly, or maybe in some cases not so slowly, rolling it back out.
Okay. Well, this is one of the things I hardly ever have it come up. But if I do, I just tell them that absolutely I have investors that will buy properties, but this is what has to happen. We have to price it correctly. So as long as you're willing to have the price that we suggest, right? And then if we aren't able to accomplish the sale within 30 days, we do a 5% price reduction. And in today's market, whatever you feel comfortable with, you can say 10% price reduction. Most people are not going to take you up on it. It's just a way to get you in the door to be another unique selling proposition if you need it, okay? All right, so Steve, to kind of go back to your question, they say, how do you do this, Brandon? How are you able to accomplish that? Great question. All right, I have a listing plan of action that I follow like it's an instruction manual that is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all the way through to the final sale, the closing, check marked list, right? And I've been doing this for about 13 years at a high level. And I'm in the top 1% of all agents in Charlotte. And I'm not saying that to impress you, really to impress upon you, that I have been doing this for a long time and I have made a lot of mistakes and I've learned from those mistakes. And so by all the trial and error, I've formed a great plan of action that has proven to work. And what I mean by that is, it's kind of like a really, like if someone, your great grandmother had passed along this great chocolate chip cookie recipe, right? And as long as you follow Great Nana's, chocolate chip cookie recipe to the T, you know that the cookies that you pull out of your oven are gonna be just phenomenal, right? So I don't mess with it. I'm not trying new ingredients. I'm not adding extra sugar or more flour. I just follow Great Nana's chocolate chip cookie recipe all the way to the end because I want those good cookies. Well, it's kind of like that, but for your house, and it's my marketing plan. And as long as I make checks next to each one of those boxes along the way, I know that the great cookies at the end is going to be you selling your house for the most amount of money possible with the least amount of hassle. And so most agents, their plan, they go by the 4 Ps, the 4P plan. And the 4 Ps is they take pictures, they put it in the MLS, they put a sign in your yard, and then they pray someone brings a buyer, all right? And to me, that's not a plan of action. That is just praying that somehow something works out. And so you ask, how am I able to get that extra 2% or sell it for a month faster than the others? It's because I have a plan. I'm focused. I've learned from my mistakes and I apply it every single time and it works. And if it doesn't work, then something regarding pricing or condition is the only reason that your house isn't going to sell. Because my plan has proven to succeed. All right? Steve, did that answer your question on that one?
Yeah, it does. Those specific statistics, 99% versus 97, 14 versus 52 or whatever it was, how much of that do you think's pricing, having the strength and conviction up front to price it correctly the first time versus and including, I guess, your negotiation skills?
Very little, to be perfectly frank. Like if everyone in your each individual offices, I don't mean this, that's important. Pricing it right is obviously important. I think we all can agree. But the issue is it's really like, if you just did the numbers, there's builders out there that will always overprice, on a spec. There's for sale by owners that put in a flat fee listing and they're going to overprice it and it sits on the market forever. You just have all these, situations where it's not a real agent that has any real understanding of the market and is overpricing their homes, and it pulls down the overall average. Okay. So again, I'm saying the average agent because it is, but I mean, just between us here, there's only so much an agent can do. The trick to being a successful listing agent is, 1, be the one that sells the house, but 2 is taking good pictures, pricing it right, and putting it in the MLS. That truly is the pathway to success. So I'm not doing anything extraordinary. What I'm really good at, though, is finding sellers and then winning the listing. And I do, because I'm doing that more and more and more, I'm more confident in presenting price, which does help me a little bit. All right.
Hey, Brandon.
Yeah, man. Yeah, go ahead, Brad.
Just a quick thing. I know some people are confrontational. Do they ever challenge you? Well, what do you mean you're 97? They're 97. You're 99. Do you have something that you can show them, or do you just say, no, just trust me?
It's never come up, so they do trust me.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah. All right. Any other questions on that? I didn't mean to skip ahead. Okay, cool. All right, home brochures. It's important to some people, and I just want them to see what I do. I will tell you that I use list reports, which is a free service, and that's what this is. And the reason I think it's cool because it offers cool stuff like, what's around, what schools, it makes you look really smart. And I also am frugal, so I like free. and it is free. But it's just a way to kind of shine what your brochures are going to look like. Where do buyers come from? All right, why do I present this? I hate open houses. I know that it's a great way to procure business, and I understand that. And if I was in need of business and I was willing to sacrifice time for my family, I would be doing open houses. But the reality is, from a seller's perspective, open houses are not not good use of time. And I show them the statistic that it's actually less than 1% of homes are sold through an open house, and not by like your neighbor's open house. But if I was going to put your house on it as an open house, there's less than 1% chance that a buyer is going to come through your open house and buy your house, right? And I'm very careful about this because some sellers have been led to believe that an open house is the key to success. So I do show them this, but I pull the graph out and I say, how do you guys feel about open houses? And if they say, oh, they're so important, then I say, absolutely, they are very important, and we do them, all right? But in the reality is, I'm hopeful that they're like, I don't care about open houses. What do you think? And I said, well, today's statistics, I'm going to show you that I really don't think it's a good use for your house, because for less than 1%, we're increasing liability on you, right? People are coming in nowadays, they're casing houses because of open houses. Somebody could come in and just thinking they're going to look at your house, but the reality is they're there to steal your iPad. And I just don't think the liability is worth the risk. All right. But that's one. What I'm trying to show them is, though, the way we're going to get your house sold is from realtor direct contact. And so if you've ever had a listing and a seller said, well, why haven't you, agent, shown my house? You're the listing agent. Aren't you supposed to be showing it? And I tell them, like, look, you remember that graph where we talked about where the majority of sales are coming from? It's because I am reaching out to other realtors and asking them to bring their clients. So if you have a showing with another realtor, it's because I brought them to your house. That's my job. I'm trying to reach the masses. And so, yes, I will show your house, and I obviously remember the 5% reduced commission. I'm going to try because I'm motivated. But the reality is, where I'm going to get the greatest return on my investment of time and the highest likelihood of getting your house sold for the most money, it's from going and talking to other agents and having them bring their clients. All right. Any questions on that? All right. Internet marketing. Some agents will try to sell how great they are at internet marketing. And hopefully you guys realize that everyone's pretty much doing exactly the same thing. You may find someone that is doing more Facebook advertising for a listing, but I don't know. I'd like to see statistics that show that Facebook advertising is working to sell your individual listing. I think it's more like it's today's open house, where it's more like about getting buyer leads so you can get more clients. And I agree with that. But if I have someone, I do like to talk to them about how strong we are about our internet presence. And this hasn't been updated in forever. Again, this is not one that I usually show a lot, but I want them to see that we're putting it out there, that we're working really hard to get your house seen by as many people as possible. All right, and then these are actually 3 pages. It's not 2 pages. The one is, what do buyers find very useful? Photos, obviously, number 1. As you can go down the list. This is just informative stuff. And then I have what am I involved with? This is for someone that is very, I don't know what the personality style of the DISC, I think it's S, where they're very family and details and emotions. They'll gravitate towards, who are you as a person, Brandon? And so this is part of that story. And also I want them to know that, I'm not here just to sell houses. I'm here to bless other people. And this is what I'm involved with. And it can open the door of conversations. All right, that's my pre-listing packet. Like I said, part of it is just having the information, right? So the first time I saw this, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't figure this out. And I did the worst pre-listing packet ever. I think I had tried to create like the flexible fee and the easy exit, and it was just like those 2 pieces of paper. And I just presented it, even though it looked really bad. I presented it and I won. I won the listing, and it was a FSBO. And so I don't want this to be like, well, I need to wait till mine is perfect, right? This is more about you trying to figure out how you can tell others why you're good or how you're different. Because as soon as you can know how you're different, then the faster, I'm gonna stop screen share, the faster you're gonna have confidence. Does that make sense, everybody?
Hey, Brandon, I got a question for you. Hey, when you were talking about, you said like the most powerful thing, the thing that you've got that you show is, you know, how you sell it in 14 days. The average sells it in 52, and you sell it 99. What do you say to agents out there that are either new, trying to get their listing business going, or that their numbers really aren't much better, if better at all, than the rest of the market that's out there?
Well, so your numbers, and like I said earlier, if you're a new agent, your broker's numbers are your numbers. So you just pray that your broker's numbers are good.
And what if they aren't? I mean, you just don't have a sheet like that if you can't really show numbers?
Yep. If you have like your broker isn't selling, and you don't have any sales, then you've got to figure something else out.
I mean, I'm wondering if they could use, like, with our company, our top listing agent, I'm getting going with this company now, and our top listing agent, our company, you can see the numbers there.
At the end of the day, as long as you say it that way, Brian, you can say whatever. You can say, this is our top agents, and this is how we're doing, because of the data and the information and how our process as a company is selling houses versus my numbers, my process. So I guess that's a way you could get around it. You
could probably take the best two numbers from the agents. You can say our top couple listing agents in our company. You can see here's what they're doing, and I'll provide the safe services.
You'd want to say because you still want to be tied to them. But basically that's what you do.
Okay, cool. Thanks. This is great. This was excellent.
Awesome.
Brandon, I have another question too. On that last slide, I've seen it before in someone else's presentation, on the second to last slide where you showed all of the internet services does that come because we put it in the Highgarden?
Through the IDX and the MLS.
Okay. So
like when you list it,
use that. We can all use that. Okay.
I bet you there's a better one out there that somebody's got. And again, that one, I don't think I've ever, maybe like, let's say less than 3% of the time has that come up. So it's just there, it's in case it comes up, or, someone says, well, this person came in and they said they were great at internet. And I say, well, guess what? Look at this picture, right? It's kind of like all these pages are like little arrows in your quiver, right? So if it comes up, you just pull that arrow out and you make sure that you have it to use it so that you know how to combat it.
And then all of these pages are just beautiful. Did you hire a marketing consultant to put them together and all of that?
No. So, the basic structure was already created through my coaching program. And so I did pay, I think I paid $600 a long time ago for someone to come up and say, hey, I want this, but I want it personalized. I do know that Aruj has done this exact one for other people in our company. So she's made some changes on it for me. So she has everything.
Okay, cool. That's good to know.
We have template, Brandon. Thank you for sharing that with everybody.
Yeah, I think I've sent it out to other people over the years, and other people in the company are using it. So I know it's around there.
Okay, so if I just contact Aruj, then I could get the template and have her help me with that. Okay,
I'm sure hopefully she doesn't get too flooded. Or hopefully she does, actually.
How often are you actually delivering this prior to the listing appointment?
So I used to be awesome at it. In fact, I was even paying couriers to do that, and I've gotten lazy. I will tell you that that's something that I have to change, because it really does help to have it delivered, right? There's so many reasons it's good. Like, they see the commission stuff, like especially people that are really into it. And if you're competing, it's really good. Or if there's a FSBO down the street, this is a great thing to hand to them. Again, it's just like, it's a great marketing piece. to use for so many different reasons, but it is good. I remember one, it was a expired listing. I can't remember what it was. This is several years ago. And if you look at how it's written, it's like Brandon Jackson sells homes in 99% versus the average agent or something like that. And the guy you could tell he had gone over it. And he was like, I love it. You're like Chuck Norris, a real estate agent. Brandon Jackson sells houses. It was just like, so I basically had gone in and already won the listing. And I mean, the house ended up selling like, I think we had 14 offers on it. It was like 360,000. And I was like, dang, this thing works, man. You know, it's like, it does so much of the work for you. And especially like commission, you know, like it kind of gets that out of the way if you're nervous about having commission conversations. By them having it early and, oh yeah, I already saw your commission. I mean, especially in my first couple of years of really getting in the listings, I'd be like, did you get to go over my flexible fee agreement? They're like, oh yeah, I understand, that's fine. You know, and they'd be moving forward and signing. So, I mean, in cases, like if you didn't have this or you didn't have it laid out, your commission structure, you're gonna have to talk about it. And so if you have to talk about it, you're forcing confrontation. The seller may be more willing to be like, well, would you be willing to do it for 5% because my neighbor said they would do it. Right. And if I said, well, I will, I actually can do a flat 5% if I bring the buyer. Right. And usually, most often not, it ends it. So if it even started the conversation, but by having it there beforehand, the conversation is happens much less.
What do you say to the agents? And we have a number of top producers within our company across the country that don't really use a listing presentation. What do you say to the agents that say, those formal presentations just get in the way?
I mean, I would say that I hope that I compete against you. Do you know what I mean? Because like you're making this like so much less of a profession by just like shooting from the hip, and you're hoping that it all just works out, and you're just going to decrease the odds of winning more listings. I mean, you know, if you're a really good listing agent, like the income potential skyrockets for you, right? And not only that, like if you get really good at this, and it's just like your confidence grows, and then you get more listings, and it's just it totally can transform your business. If you're just like not sure what you're going to say every time, you don't have typically the same confidence. You're basing it on emotion, right? And you're not always going to feel as confident, right? And you might forget what you were going to say, and you could create more obstacles than you needed to create. If you're going to do this full time and you actually want to make good money, take some time about the foundations. Like, I don't know, for the agents that know me, especially my closing coordinators, there are so many things I'm really bad at in this job. Like, I probably could be more emotional with my clients and more about, hey, I love you and I care for you. I want to be your friend. My customer service sometimes isn't the greatest. That's why I have awesome closing coordinators. There's a lot of things that are bad, but I'm really good at presenting, right? And I am also don't mind getting on the phone and confronting my fears in prospecting, whether it be my past clients or FSBOs or whatnot. I can basically suck at everything else. If I am good at presenting my pre-listing presentation at a listing presentation and getting the listing presentation, I'm going to make good money, and I'm going to be able to do the things I really care about, which is spending time with my family. So if that's the case, then I'm going to take the extra time like I've done and get good at my craft and treat this like a profession.
We didn't go deep on the communication guarantee, but what are you promising there in terms of how often you're going to communicate? So
it's a weekly communication guarantee. And what I do is I use BombBomb, and that's how I present it. Cause then it's way more structured. But it could just be like, hey, this is what's happened with the market. There's one new listing in your neighborhood. It's just a way to have those communications, have it to start. And like I said, I have a 12-week plan that I can send to you. Just shoot me an email and I'll send you what the 12-week communication. It tells you what to say.
Hey, Brandon, Jeannie had asked, she's having trouble finding that link on Facebook. That you posted that in the company-wide.
The company-wide one. Yep.
Facebook group.
That's right. It was the I don't remember. It's like Easy Street, Highgarden, internal. Yeah. Something like that.
Robin could probably send out a link to everybody again, I think. Right, Robin?
Hey, Robin.
Yep. Hey, I'll set it up. I'll actually I'll copy and paste it in this chat too.
Okay. Yeah, and it's in two different links. It's the left side and the right side.
Oh, so you're going to send out the PDFs of what you just showed today?
I did yesterday in the Facebook group.
We'll send
and
the
so
Facebook group again.
The only thing that stinks about this pre-listing pack is it takes a little work because of the waterfall. Like they're all the same size, you know, it's all 8.5 by 11, but each one is a little bit shorter, right? So what you have to do is you actually have to cut with one of those big slicer things. And so it takes a little bit of time. Now I'll end up paying somebody to do it for me. Like if you got kids at home or something that want to earn some extra summer money, just, you know, print them all and say, hey, make me 20 of these things and I'll pay you $20 or whatever you want to do. And I would say make 20 at least, like have 20 so that I have them in my car. You never know. You could be driving by a FSBO and be like, I'm just going to go knock on the door and I'm not even going to knock on the door. I'm just going to lay it against the side, right? Or whatever. If you pray that you have an opportunity to have it with you, and it's so important, not only, like I said, for confidence and knowledge to have it, but just always keep it with you.
Just to make sure everyone saw it, Robin just posted in the chat.
Oh, there you go. Thanks, Robin.
Other questions for Brandon?
Brandon, I have one for you. Something I get nervous about because I have stats like you, and I definitely share them, but I get a little nervous when I say my average days on market is 15, and then my seller is in a community where the average days on market is 90. Are you having that conversation up front with them that it might take a little longer for them?
Absolutely. I mean, that's part of when you're getting down to the pricing part of the listing presentation, it is so critical to be able to set expectations. And you say, look, my average is before I got to that point, I did say my average is 14. Does that mean I sell every house in 14 days? No, it's not. You know, because a higher end property where the average days on market in the neighborhood is 90, well, maybe I'll sell it in 75. The point here isn't that I'm going to sell your house in 14 days. The point is that by following my process and how I do what I do, I'm going to sell it faster than most agents are going to even have the opportunity to do so. So then when we get to the pricing part, one of the main things I'm setting on is, look, the average days on the market in your neighborhood is 90, okay? Because I don't want them firing me after 30. You know what I mean? So you're making sure you're having that conversation.
Right, thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else? Hey, I know this is going on record, and I had a couple people reach out. Chris, I'm going to hit you in a second just to say this. If you're watching this in replay and you have a question, email me or say, hey, can I call you? And I'm happy to do it. Sorry. So go ahead, Chris. Hey, bud.
No, this was fantastic. I think it was, super good. Thank you for doing it.
Absolutely.
I think that there are, I've heard this before when people look at these listing presentations or pre-listing presentations, and they're a newer agent, they don't have the stats, they don't have the testimonials, what do you say to them, or what are some of the pieces? Do you just start with 3 or 4 pages of generic, or what could you do if you're a new agent and you don't have the history?
Yeah, at the end of the day, yes, you do what you can, right? If and I said it earlier, like if you use your broker stats as one option, and I can't remember if Brian may have said this or Brett or somebody said, it was Brian, about maybe you have a couple high producers in your office and you can say we and use their numbers, just as long as you're categorizing it. So yeah, but I would do something. And at the end of the day, the flexible fee, the easy exit, and the weekly communication, those are unique selling propositions that you can say, how are you different? I'll just tell you how I'm different. I'm different because I'm willing to do things that other agents aren't willing to do. And this is what I mean by that. So you can have no numbers. You could have just like take the numbers out and put everything else in and you're good to go.
That sounds good. Thanks, Brandon.
Yeah. Don, I like the glasses over the shades you were wearing earlier, by the way. He's on mute.
That's good.
Yeah.
Keep him there.
All right. Anyone else? Hopefully everybody's enjoying their Thursday. Hopefully this was helpful. Like I said earlier, if you have some follow-up questions, I'm happy to go through it. and share this, because this was huge for me. Once I got this really was like the catalyst to help propel really what was, I think when I started, maybe like 3 million in volume. I did 17 million in volume last year, and 80% of that was listings. And I referred out probably another 3 or 4 million in volume from buyers that I prefer to be at home. I want to go home at a reasonable time, and I don't want to work weekends. So if you get really good at listings, you can make those choices. And this is big part of being good at listings. Cool.
Jeannie of Rouge Qureshi, she had just asked that's our marketing specialist here in Indy that can help with this. She has the templates. I can email you her email address. Make sure you have it.
It's marketing at highgarden.com, right?
That works too.
Yeah, marketing at highgarden.com is the place to use it. And Jeannie, you're in my market, so I can't compete with you on these listings now. No, I'm just kidding. That'd be fun.
To add to that, you can email marketing, but we also have the templates. Like we can either send you a link to the template so you can edit them the way that you want, or Rouge is happy to swap out your photo and information on there too. So however it works best for you.
I buy good paper, like the glossy, thicker paper. It's important. I mean, do you have to? No. But again, especially if you're cutting it, the thicker paper makes a difference, and it presents so much better.
Are you binding it, Brandon, or how are you putting it together? In the folder, you said, right?
So, can you see it all right?
Yep.
That's what it looks like, just like that. But this comes from the company. Thank you guys for continuing to do this. And then, got my card right here and this. And I'll usually put the CMAs in the back, and I'll put the listing paperwork right here.
Love it.
Yeah.
Hey, Brandon.
Yep.
Are those are staggered, right? They're cut like different. Can you just flip through that real quick? Is everybody, maybe you did this. My computer died or went out.
Yeah, you're good. I did, but I'm happy to do it again. You're good. So you see, right? Does that make sense?
Does your closing girls do that for you?
Yeah, typically I do. I pay them to come in, and I'll say, hey, I need 20. Will you go in there? And they'll come in and do it. I mean, I could do it, and I did do it for a lot of times, but now I try my best to leverage time. So someone else, it's summer. I might be paying my kid to do it.
Yeah, they have to cut the sheets and place them, right? That's the job.
Yeah. It takes, once you get good at it, it takes 3 or 4 minutes to do one after you've gotten them printed out.
Got it.
Cool.
It was tremendous, Brandon. Thank you.
Yeah. Hey, it's only tremendous if they take it and use it.
True.
So that's the key. I've been to so many, I've taught this in my office so many times, and I swear, we'll get like 10% of people, unfortunately, guys that are in my office, you're hearing this, but they're like, this is so great. I got to do this. And then they never do it. And because it does take a little bit of time. But honestly, if you just say, I'm going to take a little bit of action here, and I'm going to put it on my calendar on Friday, I'm going to go from, make sure you get your important stuff done in the morning. I'm going to go from lunch. I'm just going to figure all this stuff out. I'm going to get it done. It is so much worth that time of taking action, because what you're going to get out of it. And again, the number one thing in my mind is confidence to know how you're different. You get that little bit of confidence to know how you're different. You're going to be like, dang, I want some listings. I'm going to go get some. So you love my Southern speak here. Take the time to take action on this. If you think this would be useful, and do it. I swear it's been a huge, if not the biggest, one of the biggest parts of me finding success in real estate.
Hey, Brandon, I have a question, even though, you're my pick. Have you ever dropped off one of these listing packets to somebody, unsolicited? In other words, let's say you found something in Remind, and it looked like these people were really great prospects to sell, but you couldn't ever get a hold of them. You couldn't call them. You couldn't email them. You couldn't text them. You couldn't do anything. And you just decided, well, I'm going to take a shot. I'm going to drop this pre-listing presentation off at the door, maybe with some sort of a note in it. Have you ever done that?
I haven't done that. You could absolutely. I have done it for someone that I know is interested in selling. Like they've communicated, I've had a conversation with them, maybe they've emailed me. I do that all the time. I was on a mastermind today. I'm in a Dave Ramsey program with a lot of other really great agents. And they were telling me their plan was, you know, they call, they text, and then 3 days later they email until they can get a hold of them. I'm like, dang, man, that's fine. If that's what all these other great agents are doing, that's great. But the reality is I go and think and knock on the door with this thing. You know, it's so great that why wouldn't you just try to get it in their hands as soon as possible? So if I have someone where I think is a viable lead, I will go take it to their door and knock on the door and see if I can talk to them. If I can't talk to them, then I'll leave it on their door, and then I'll continue to persist in following up with them.
That's great for you, but for somebody like me, if I do that, they'll look through the window, and before they enter the door, the police will be there.
Well, if they see you coming with your sunglasses, they'll think, you know, it's one of those gray Amber Alerts or whatever they are.
What if I have my dog and cane with me? Will that work?
Perfect. Sympathy vote. I'm just messing with you, Don. Don and I can do that, folks. We know each other.
Oh God, we know each other. I know Brandon when he sold me some houses when he was with CP Morgan.
Yeah.
And now those people who bought are in jail. So congratulations.
Probably.
All right.
This is fun, but hey, happy to answer any questions offline if you want. I appreciate you guys taking time to sit and listen to my spiel, and best of luck to everybody.
Thanks, Brandon.
All right. See you guys.
All right. Take it easy.
Bye, Brandon.
Bye.